Speak to the Sky has been relocated to a nursing home in Ohio and is unable to join us for the broadcast for Between Heaven and Hell tonight. But we want you to keep her in prayer as she's got bed sores, and some of those are so deep that you could actually put a whole hand up them. The nursing staff has never seen them so bad before, and the nurse that's with her right now in the nursing home has been working for 36 years. She says she's never seen anything like this before, so keep her in prayer. She's trying for you guys. She really wants to be on, but I'm not the best with technology, so I didn't know how to do a Zoom call. But we'll figure it out for you guys, and we'll get her on the show for you, and we'll go from there. She wanted to send this picture to you guys where she got her shirt on and her makeup on, so she was ready to do the show, and she will try to join us next time. Been emphasizing working on the Sabbath, and we're going to look at some Bible verses that talk to you about the Sabbath over the years from the Old Testament to the New Testament, and kind of see how it's changed a little bit through the years. You know now that obviously people work on Sundays, but in Germany most of your shops are closed on Sundays, so you got to keep that in mind. I know I talked with a coworker today, and she said she still remembers when she was a child that everything was closed on Sundays except for like gas stations and some emergency services, and I remember that too, barely. I'm just old enough to remember it. Genesis 2:3, so God blessed the seventh day and made it holy, because on it God rested from all his work that he had done in creation. Exodus 31:14, you shall keep the Sabbath, because it is holy for you. Everyone who profanes it shall be put to death. Whoever does any work on it, that soul shall be cut off from among his people. Numbers 15:32-36. While the people of Israel were in the wilderness, they found a man gathering sticks on the Sabbath day. And those who found him gathering sticks brought him to Moses and Aaron and to all the congregation. They put him in custody, because it had not been made clear what should be done to him. And the Lord said to Moses, the man shall be put to death. All the congregation shall stone him with stones outside the camp. And all the congregation brought him outside the camp and stoned him to death. Matthew 12:9-14. He went on from there and entered their synagogue, and a man was there with a withered hand. And they asked him, is it lawful to heal on the Sabbath? So that they might accuse him. He said to them, which one of you who has a sheep, if it falls into a pit on the Sabbath, will not take hold of it and lift it out? Of how much more value is a man than a sheep? So it is lawful to do good on the Sabbath. Then he said to the man, stretch out your hand. And the man stretched out his hand, and it was restored, healthy like the other. Mark 2:23-28. One Sabbath he was going through the grain fields, and as they made their way, his disciples began to pluck heads of grain, and the Pharisees were saying to him, look, why are they doing what is not lawful on the Sabbath? And he said to them, have you never read what David did when he was in need and he was hungry, he and those who were with him, how he entered the house of God in the time of Abiathar the high priest, and ate the bread of the presence, which is not lawful for any but the priests to eat, and also gave it to those who were with him. And he said to them, the Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath. Luke 13:10-17 says, now he was teaching in one of the synagogues on the Sabbath, and behold, there was a woman who had a disabling spirit for 18 years. She was bent over and could not fully straighten herself. When Jesus saw her, he called her over and said to her, woman, you are freed from your disability. And he laid his hands on her, and immediately she was made straight, and she glorified God. But the ruler of the synagogue, indignant because Jesus had healed on the Sabbath, said to the people, there are 6 days in which work ought to be done. Come on those days and be healed, and not on the Sabbath day. Luke 4:16. And he came to Nazareth, where he had been brought up. And as was his custom, he went to the synagogue on the Sabbath day, and he stood up to read. Romans 14:1-4. As for the one who is weak in faith, welcome him, but not to quarrel over opinions. One person believes he may eat anything, while the weak person eats only vegetables. Let not the one who eats despise the one who abstains, and let not the one who abstains pass judgment on the one who eats, for God has welcomed him. Who are you to pass judgment on the servant of another? It is before his own master that he stands or falls, and he will be upheld, for the Lord is able to make him stand. Romans 14:5. One person esteems one day as better than another, while another esteems all days alike. Each one should be fully convinced in his own mind. Ezekiel 46:1. Thus says the Lord God, the gate of the inner court that faces east shall be shut on the 6 working days, but on the Sabbath day it shall be opened, and on the day of the new moon it shall be opened. Isaiah 66:22-23. For as the new heavens and the new earth that I make shall remain before me, says the Lord, so shall your offspring and your name remain. From new moon to new moon, and from Sabbath to Sabbath, all flesh shall come to worship before me, declares the Lord. So you kind of see how the Sabbath changed throughout the years. It was, well, we're going to stone you to death, and it's completely illegal to, well, it's unlawful, and we're questioning things, and we're going to try to get at Jesus for doing good works and healing people, and maybe eating when you're hungry on the Sabbath. And, you know, even I talked about at the beginning of the show where when I was a child, and I talked to my coworker, and when she was a child, we still remember when things were closed on Sundays, except for maybe gas stations and essential services. But times have changed in the United States now, and in Germany it's still traditional. You still have your stores are all closed pretty well, most of them on Sundays. And I know that because I was stationed out there in the Army. So I remember not that long ago, just a couple years ago, how everything was still closed, and I know it is like that today, as I still have my friends and coworkers over there, former coworkers in Germany, so I still talk with them. But anyway, just think about that as times have changed, and I think the key emphasis is just making time for Jesus and not forgetting him on that day. So my coworker, she makes sure that she gets off to go to church, and then when church is over, they call her into work and she'll go. And that's kind of what I'm going to try to do from here on too. So today we made cookies and brownies for 14th Avenue Gospel Mission Church, who has made food for the Salvation Army today. And I was an hour and a half late to work today, but I wanted to make sure I fulfilled my commitment there because I told them I would do it. And we ended up making 25 bags of cookies and brownies. So wish I could do more. I had my friend Shane helping me, and I was glad that we got that done. It's good to try to put a smile on somebody's face who needs it. So thanks for subscribing, thanks for watching, and hopefully next week we'll try to get Speak to the Sky on for you guys, and let's get her healed up. Thank you for your prayers and watching. And until then, Godspeed, everybody.